I thought marrying him would give me the simple life I craved. But when he called me worthless in front of everyone at that charity gala, he had no idea my father owned half the companies in that room. Some men learn respect the hard way. If you've ever felt underestimated or disrespected, this story will show you that karma has a way of balancing things out. Hit that like button if you believe everyone deserves respect, and subscribe for more incredible true stories. Now, let me tell you what happened that changed everything. My name is Tanya, and I've been keeping a secret for 5 years. While my husband Derek thinks I'm just another struggling teacher from a working-class family, the truth is, my father is Robert Williams. Yes, that Robert Williams, the tech mogul, worth $3.7 billion. You've probably used his software today without even knowing it. But here's the thing. I chose this life. I chose to live in a modest apartment, drive a 10-year-old Honda, and teach 3rd grade at Lincoln Elementary. I chose to keep my real last name hidden and go by my mother's maiden name instead. Why? Because I wanted to know what it felt like to be loved for who I am, not for my bank account. When I met Derek at that little coffee shop on 5th Street 3 years ago, he was everything I thought I wanted. Charming, funny, and completely unimpressed by wealth or status. He was a marketing manager at a mid-sized firm, making decent money but nothing flashy. He told me he respected teachers, said education was the backbone of society. I fell for every word. Our wedding was small and beautiful. I paid for it with my teaching salary, and some money I told him came from my savings. My father walked me down the aisle, introduced simply as my dad who worked in technology. Derek never asked too many questions, and I never volunteered the information. I thought I was protecting our relationship. I thought I was being smart, but 3 years of marriage taught me something painful. Derek didn't respect me at all. It started small. Little comments about my tiny paycheck and jokes about how I'd never make real money. When his friends came over, he'd laugh along as they called teaching not a real career and asked when I was going to get serious about work. I told myself he was just insecure about money, that deep down he appreciated what I did. But it got worse. At dinner parties, he'd introduce me as just a teacher with an apologetic tone, like I was something he had to explain away. When wealthy couples talked about vacations or expensive purchases, he'd make jokes about how we teachers couldn't afford such luxuries. The worst part? He started flirting with other women right in front of me. Women with better jobs, designer clothes, obvious money. I kept telling myself it would get better. My father sensed something was wrong, but he respected my choice to handle my marriage privately. He'd always tell me, "You never have to accept disrespect from anyone, not even your husband." I should have listened sooner. The breaking point came at the annual Children's Education Foundation Gala. Ironic, right? A charity my father founded 15 years ago to improve public education. Derek had been excited about going for weeks. Not because he cared about education, but because he knew important people would be there. He saw it as a networking opportunity. "If I can make the right connections tonight," he said, while getting dressed, "maybe I can finally move up to senior management. God knows we need the money with your salary." I wore a simple black dress, elegant but understated. Derek took one look and scoffed. "Really? That's what you're wearing to meet millionaires? Sometimes I think you don't want me to succeed." The gala was at the Grand Ballroom downtown. As we entered, I spotted my father across the room. Derek was too busy staring at the chandeliers to notice. "Look at this place," he whispered. "These are my kind of people. Successful, ambitious, going places." He squeezed my hand, not lovingly, but as a reminder to behave. Try to make a good impression, and don't mention the teaching thing unless someone asks. Derek abandoned me at our table and started working the room. I was chatting with Mrs. Henderson, the event coordinator, when I heard my name. Derek was telling a group of well-dressed women, "My wife? Oh, she's just a teacher, nothing special, really." One woman said, "That's sweet you married. For love instead of money?" Derek laughed. "Yeah, well, I love her, but let's be honest. No ambition, no family money, no career prospects. Sometimes I wonder what I was thinking." I froze. Mrs. Henderson touched my arm, concerned, but Derek kept going, saying I'd probably teach kindergarten forever, that I didn't have the brains for a real career, that I was just a glorified babysitter making $35,000 a year. That's when I saw my father approaching, calm, measured steps, the kind that meant someone was about to learn an expensive lesson. "Excuse me," my father said politely. "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation about teachers." Derek lit up, thinking here was another wealthy man to impress. "Oh, teachers are nice people," Derek said, "but they don't really understand the real world. My wife's one. Sweet girl, but no head for business or money." My father nodded. "And what do you do?" Derek puffed up. "Marketing manager at Peterson & Associates, mid-tier corporate accounts, up for senior management soon. Just need to make the right connections." "Impressive," my father said. "And you think education isn't important?" Derek shrugged. "It's fine for people who can't do anything else, but the people who matter, the ones who drive the economy, are in business, like everyone here tonight." Moments later, the foundation president took the microphone. "Please welcome the founder of the Children's Education Foundation, Robert Williams." The applause was thunderous. Derek's face turned white. My father spoke passionately about how teachers shape society, and then revealed, "My own daughter is a teacher. She chose education over a comfortable life in the family business." The crowd applauded again. Derek's audience looked horrified. Word was spreading. This man had just insulted the founder's daughter. After the speech, Derek stammered apologies. My father calmly explained that Williams Technologies had been considering a $2 million contract with Peterson & Associates, one that would have secured Derek's promotion. "Was being considered," my father said. "That contract is no longer available." By the end of the week, Derek was fired. His contacts dried up, and that Friday, he came home begging me to help him get a job at my father's company. I looked at him and quietly said, "I filed for divorce this afternoon." "It wasn't one night," I told him. "It was 3 years of you being embarrassed. By me, apologizing for me, treating me like I was lucky you settled for someone beneath you." The divorce was quick. I kept my apartment, my car, my job. Derek kept his bruised ego and moved back in with his parents. I still teach at Lincoln Elementary, but now I also work with my father's foundation, designing programs to support teachers. I learned hiding who I was didn't protect me from disrespect. It enabled it. My worth was never about my father's, money, or Derek's opinion. Respect is something you demand by knowing your value. I'm dating someone new now, another teacher. When I told him who my father was, his response was, "That's cool, but tell me about your classroom. What's your favorite book to teach?" That's when I knew I'd learned my lesson. Never let anyone make you feel small.